Anyone can sell electronics. At Electronics Expo, they do more than sell products. They design, install, and support complete technology solutions. From home theaters and whole home audio to lighting, shades, automation, networking, security cameras, and premium entertainment systems. For over 22 years, they've helped thousands of homeowners experience technology at its very best. See the difference for yourself. Visit their Wayne or Paramus stores in New Jersey or shop now at electronicsexpo.com.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, now even many Democrats are saying it is time for Graham Platner to leave the race. He, of course, is the Maine Democratic Senate candidate. And boy, the allegations are really piling on. There's some big news tonight. A woman has come forward who was dating Graham Platner at one point and says he raped her in 2021. She was very convincing, very credible. I was watching the interview. We're going to play some clips of this. And now even Ro Khanna and also Chuck Schumer and a number of others have come forward and says it is time for Graham Platner to leave the race. So let me get this straight. All these other allegations where there was like physical assault, the allegations, of course, that he had the things he was doing on the sexting app. Remember that? What about the Nazi tattoo? I guess those were okay. But now that he's accused of rape, they seem to say that that's where the line should have been drawn. The line should have been drawn a long time ago. And we're going to talk about what a disgrace that so many Democrats, even tonight, are not speaking out against Graham Platner. You can tell I am fired up, and this guy has got to go. This guy is the worst of the worst. And he came out with a statement a little bit ago. We're going to play the woman. And there is some big news on that tonight. But also tonight, I am back from the Oval Office. I had probably one of the most amazing days of my life, everybody. And on Friday, how lucky am I? Here it is on the cusp, of course, of our great 250th birthday of this country. And I was lucky enough to be in the Oval Office with President Trump and talk with him about our incredible, great, exceptional nation, a little bit about Iran, a little bit about the communists and socialists that seem to be taking over the Democratic Party, and most importantly, also his love of America. And he was in great spirits. He looked terrific. And I put a big picture up. You'll see it on my Twitter at Rita Cosby. There's a great shot because the Oval Office never looked better. I've been in the White House many times, but to walk into the Oval Office and there was the FIFA Gold Cup, there was the Declaration of Independence that he put on his wall. There was so many amazing portraits of George Washington and Reagan in the Oval Office. And then I got to walk down the Hall of Presidents where you see all those pictures. I saw the famous portrait of the auto pen where Joe Biden would be in the rundown. And you see all the other pictures. And then you go into the Palm Room, which was this beautiful marble floored room. And it is the room between the West Wing and the residence. And that was just gorgeous. I saw the new Rose Garden with the new patio there. You could see all the other construction that's underway. And most importantly, it was just a blessing to be in the People's House. It was a blessing to see President Trump. He looked great. The man is a dynamo. Because right after he finished talking with me, I think within a few minutes, he left to go to South Dakota to Mount Rushmore. So it was like, okay, I got to go, Rita, because I got to hop on a plane, the new Air Force One, and then circle over Mount Rushmore. Then I got to do another incredible speech. And then, of course, the next day was July 4th. And right now he's on his way to Turkey. So the guy is just the Energizer Bunny. It's amazing what he does. And it's amazing just to see how attentive he was to everybody. I had the pleasure. There was Speaker Johnson was there. Steve Scalise was there. Don Jr. was there. Tiffany was there. A whole bunch of people, but people very much in his inner circle. And it was just a real honor, unbelievable honor and real blessing to be with President Trump. I love President Trump. I have known him for decades, and it was an honor to see him, especially at this time. The White House never looked more beautiful. Washington, D.C., by the way, never looked more beautiful. It looked a lot cleaner than I've ever seen it. It looked a lot safer than I've ever seen it. He's done such a great job cleaning it up. And to see also the fair on the National Mall, America's Fair, the State Fair, it was really cool to walk by all the different booths and to walk by and see the famous Ferris wheel that's up. And on the Washington Monument, there were all these incredible images that were like put on there, the words freedom, and you could see the Blue Angels planes that were sort of imposed on the side of the Washington Monument. And then, of course, we saw plenty of flyovers. I mean, as soon as I got out of the train station, I was like, whoa, I thought I was in Afghanistan again. There were like jets flying everywhere, but this was friendly territory. And this was to see all these incredible, I mean, you could see these F-16 jets and they were flying over so much so you could feel like the hotel room shake. You could feel the stands shake. But it was just breathtaking, patriotic, incredible. And I feel beyond blessed that I had that opportunity. I want to thank President Trump. And also, what a great, great moment to be an American. What a great moment to be there and to be able to share the celebration of the great red, white, and blue, the greatest country in the world. And you could just tell how much President Trump is proud of this country and excited about what is also to come. And somebody who certainly is on the ropes tonight is Graham Platner. There is so much developing in just the last few minutes. We're hearing from Chuck Schumer saying he should go. Ro Khanna, who was his big supporter, who went with him to that rally. Remember last time after the other allegations, these were the physical allegations where he twisted a woman's arm behind her back and locked her in the room. Well, now we are finally hearing the dam break. And I'm just going to say it. It's obvious. I saw the new polls today. The new polls today are showing that Graham Platner very well could lose the Senate race. Maybe a few weeks ago, it looked like he would maybe win. Susan Collins usually always pulls it out. She usually always has very tight races in Maine, but she has continued, obviously, to pull it out. She's been an incumbent there. She's been in the Senate for a long time. She always has a very hard race, but she always wins. And in the latest polls a few weeks ago, it looked like it was going to be a tough race for her, but a lot of people still thought she would pull it out. But if you look at some of the new numbers in the last few days, it definitely looked like he's losing ground. And that's when they said, maybe we should have a conscience. Maybe we should get Graham out of the race. And guess what? The only way they can do it, they have 1 week. And then Graham Platner, within the next week, it's by July 13th, he has to voluntarily leave the race. He can't get pushed out. He could get pushed out and say, I resigned on my own. But he has to physically sign the papers agreeing to pull out of the race. That's the way it works in Maine. And then they have 2 weeks to find a replacement. But they can't take him off the race. He has to do it. He has to remove himself. So the pressure's on. And the big question is he going to stay or is he going to go? Anyone else should have been gone. He should have been gone easily when some of these first remarks, when I saw the Nazi tattoo, that's disqualifying for me right away. And then he claimed he didn't know what it was. That is hogwash. Let's all face it. That's hogwash. You got a tattoo on your body, and then you have all these like assault allegations, and now these new ones tonight are absolutely damning. But I say to you tonight, guys, that I'm not sure because Graham Platner seems to be an arrogant SOB. Graham Platner seems to think he's above reproach. And when you hear this woman's allegations, boy, you're going to really think he thinks he's above reproach. I mean, it's disgusting. It is criminal behavior she's accusing him of. Now, he denies it, And he says he's going to take time to reflect on what he's going to do. So listen to what Graham Platner said. He just released this video. And how do you read this? It's 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And here's Graham Platner with the doozy just a few minutes ago.
I wanted to directly address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false. Over the last 10 months, I've been deeply humbled by the faith Mainers have put in me. You have welcomed me into your homes, into your places of work, into your restaurants, into your houses of worship. You have shown that a different kind of politics, one that puts the interests of people over corporations, is not just possible, but is inevitable. This movement we have built, the largest volunteer base in the history of Maine politics, the hundreds of thousands of grassroots donors, and the supporters across the ideological spectrum, we were united in a love of Maine, a belief that our politics must change, and a focus on defeating Susan Collins. So, regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins. Those were the goals when we launched this campaign, and they remain my goals today. On June 9th, 154,058 Mainers, the most in primary history, voted to reject a broken politics beholden to Washington and the donor class. They voted for hope, for change, to take back our economy, to take back our power, and to take back our Senate seat. Throughout it all, you never turned your back on me, and I will not turn my back on you now. Every one of you deserves to see that vision come to fruition and see Susan Collins defeated, and we will use every tool at our disposal to do so. As Maine goes, so goes the nation. As always, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to wear a Nazi tattoo. Thank you for blasting police, gays, the list goes on and on. This is a despicable human being. And it says a lot about the Democratic Party that so far, many of them are still sticking with this guy. Although it looks like the floodgates have opened and it looks like they are definitely trying to force him out in the last few hours. They obviously know that these allegations are credible. And they also obviously are looking at the polls as we talked about. Here is the woman, and I want to play a short clip. This is the woman. She dated Graham Platner, and she says that Graham Platner, she told him, do not come over. I don't want to see you. And he essentially, she's saying he essentially broke into her house, intoxicated, and raped her in 2021, not that long ago. Listen to what Jenny Rassicott had to say. This is what she said in an interview with CNN just a few moments ago.
Voting for.
This has obviously been very difficult for you to talk about for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And even when you're telling the story, you don't use the word.
Yeah.
So let me just be, and I apologize, let me be as direct as I can. Did Graham Platner rape you?
By definition, yes. Absolutely.
Because he had non-consensual sex with you?
Yeah.
Forced himself on you?
Mm-hmm.
Even after you had told him no and fought him off?
Yeah. He violated multiple layers of consent that night by coming into my home when I asked him not to, and by advancing on me when I told him not to, and furthermore, another incident that I had told him not to do. And
with protection.
Yeah. So, yeah. By the way that my nervous system reacted to this experience, absolutely.
She says he raped her. And clearly, the Democratic Party seems to believe her, and they're believing the poll numbers too. I'm sure there's a lot of other motivations behind here. John Fetterman just a little bit ago said, clearly, this guy is a dirtbag. Clearly, he has to go. And he also said that Bernie Sanders and others who have been propping up this guy in Maine, Graham Platner, the worst of the worst, that they owe these victims an apology. I agree. That's the least of it. We're going to take your calls when we come back, everybody. 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show, back from the White House.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
¿Qué hule? ¿Me extrañaron? Aquí tienen a Aurelio.
Esta es la saga más famosa de la televisión hispana.
Soy indestructible, imparable.
Y su banda sonora se escribe con balas.
Me gusta que te vean, que te aplaudan. Y eso está bien. Alguien tiene que ser el payaso. Pero cuando falles, que vas a fallar, no va a haber segunda vuelta.
Hoy vas a pagar con sangre. El Señor de los Cielos, temporada final, martes 7 de julio a las 9:08 Centro por Telemundo y Peacock.
Hey parents, how do you make smarter choices for your kids' college today? That's where Sally can help. With Sally, you can find scholarships, funding options, tools, and guidance all in one place. And if you need a loan, Sally has options for different families and different situations. College is only worth it if you do it right. So don't just help your kid go. Help them go smarter. Sally.com/GoParents.
This episode is brought to you by Starbucks.
That is fire! Whoa, that's good. This might be the drink of the summer. Okay, I like this one too. I'm rocking with it, okay.
Try it for yourself. Starbucks Refreshers Concentrates are coming home. Find them in the coffee aisle and make it yours.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news.
And I am heartbroken to report this, but the U.S. men's soccer team has now lost to Belgium. Remember, there was all this brouhaha about whether their top player would get in or not. With the red card, he did get in, and they played against Belgium and lost. So this is really, really sad stuff. 4-1 was the final score, and that means that they are eliminated. And that means that their time with the World Cup, sadly, has come to a crashing and very sad end. As we get more details, we'll bring it to you guys. But I am so heartbroken. I was so excited to see, hopefully, the U.S. team there because they have just been awesome. And obviously, this was an important big game, and the stakes couldn't be higher. And we're just getting word that, again, the final score, 4-1. With the U.S. now being eliminated. What a sad situation. And we'll keep you posted. I need some Kleenex, too, because I love this team, and I was hoping so much that the U.S. would go all the way. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Al in Yonkers on line 2. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, hi, Rita. Rita, I think Platner will have to get out of the race. I think it's just a matter of time. When you run for office, especially on the federal level, you really can't have a past. Very few will survive it. In 92, you've seen Clinton survive it with Jennifer Flowers. Back in 72, when Eagleton was dumped from the ticket from McGovern, he still was able to serve a couple terms, as a U.S. Senator from Missouri. But if you really have a past, don't go into politics because they're going to get you. And this guy Platner knows that they want him out. And at the end of the day, even though he is a bad person, in my opinion,
he's a disgusting person.
Yes, it would be, exactly. It would be good that he gets out.
I agree. And he should have gotten out from day one. He never should have run. He's a disgrace. And I hope he gets out soon.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Dallas, Texas. Well, you guys know how hot it has been across America, especially the last few days. And the Dallas Police Department knows that all too well. They and first responders trekked a quarter mile through very treacherous terrain to reach a victim who was treated for severe dehydration. It was a young woman, and she was in a sewage-filled ravine, who was stuck there for days. Can you imagine? Trapped in 104-degree heat. The dramatic rescue happened after the young woman had been trapped there for some time. And about 5 o'clock local time, a few days ago, a young man heard faint cries for help coming from a wooded area near a high school. While investigating the sounds, he found that a young woman had been trapped in that sewage-filled ravine for days, and she was stuck in deep mud and massive sewage and could not move. So then the police department and first responders were called in. They all worked very tirelessly to get to the location. They had to trek there, again, in very severe heat. And despite the difficult heat and difficult topography, the rescuers were able to get her, pull her out of the muck, and rush her to a local hospital where she was treated for very severe dehydration, prolonged sun exposure, and other injuries. It's still unclear how she got herself stuck. But thank goodness for the men and women in blue who were able to clearly save her life. What a horrible, horrible situation. And let's go to your calls, guys. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. And this is the Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Sandra in New Jersey, line 1. Sandra, your thoughts tonight.
Oh, a few things. I'm so proud of you that you went to Washington and you met Donald Trump again. I love when you two meet because you learn more and more about everything through him. So that's a wonderful thing, Rita.
Thank you, Sandra. And Sandra, you heard what I said, too. It's like, for me, and I used to cover the White House for many years with Fox News. I was senior correspondent in Washington, spent a lot of time in the White House. And but every time I go, I pinch myself. You know, I've been there many times. I was going there almost every day for a long time, obviously, when I was working in D.C., but every time I go, and I was there last year, as I shared with all of you guys,
right.
and even this time around, Sandra, and it was neat. I walked in, first of all, the White House truly never looked so beautiful. I put a picture up on my Twitter handle, and it's at Rita Cosby on Twitter, and you could see it. You could see the big gold FIFA Cup, which sadly he won't be handing to the U.S. team because we just learned the news that they lost to Belgium 4-1. But he had this gorgeous FIFA Cup that he's going to present to whoever the winning team is. And also all this just like beautiful opulence. I mean, obviously you see the way he designs buildings. You see the way he designs hotels all over the world. And even in the last year, the Oval Office just was like gorgeous and shiny and immaculate and more like legendary sort of paintings up there. Did a little more around also the Declaration of Independence. And he was just in a beautiful, like just great mood and just really grateful about our country and about our troops and our military and America. And, you know, Sandra, there was something just so incredibly special for me personally to be able to be there on America 250 and to be there on July 4th weekend on, you know, this weekend that is so incredibly historic, and to just feel that moment at the White House and through their eyes too as well. And especially the president's eyes. He just also looked terrific. And just looked like he was on fire about this moment and appreciating. He was in his element. And also just so sharp as a tack too, Sandra. You know, I want to mention that because I've known Donald Trump a long time, many decades, but there is something so powerful about his presence. And there are certain people that, you know, they may, like there was somebody else who was in there to visit him before, fluent on that topic. Then there was somebody else who was talking about policy issues, fluent in that topic. Like, he seamlessly moves from topic to topic and can remember every single little detail. I mean, it's awe-inspiring for someone, he just turned 80. He just had a big birthday. He looks unbelievable. He looks great. He's the sharpest 80-year-old and the most energetic 80-year-old I know, because right after he left me, he hopped on, I think it was like a 4.5-hour flight to South Dakota, gave an amazing speech, and then came back for, by the way, the 250th, year of our great country. I mean, how many people forget, even say if they're 18, let alone 80, could handle that kind of stamina 24/7 and all the events. And then you saw the stamina too on Saturday night. Remember, it was horrible rains, horrible weather. And President Trump said, I am not quitting. We're going forward with this event. The veterans are there. They stormed D-Day. They're sharing their story. Some of them 100, 107. I'm not going anywhere. Soon as the weather clears up and stops the lightning and thunder, we're going in. And he did it. I mean, it's that drive. It's that energy that really makes him a force of nature. Sandra, your thoughts about all of that tonight?
Well, I'm so glad, like I said, that you were the one to go there and come back and tell us all this stuff, because I'm like getting little goosebumps as you tell me all this wonderful, this report on Trump. It's like fresh. It's like it just happened. So I'm so glad that you were there. And then I just wanted to make a comment about this man that should not have this spot in Congress, Platner. Rape has become such a sensitive topic now to me when I think of what happened on October 7th, and when I think of Tim Walz letting that man go who sexually assaulted that 10-year-old girl. And then I get sick inside when I think what E. Jean Carroll said, how sex is something, rape is sexual, it's like sexy. It's sick. These are all sick people, and I just don't want that man in at all. Let him quit. Let him not run, and let him change his mind. But Rita, it's so scary, to have all these people wanting to run our country, and they don't deserve to, because they don't have the
moral character.
Yeah,
they don't. And this guy, Sandra, too, to me, he's really the lowest of the low. I mean, just seeing the whole Nazi, I never bought that he didn't know what the Nazi tattoo is. Are you kidding me? How could he not know what the Nazi tattoo is? It's on his body. It's this big thing on his body, right? That he sees every day. I never bought that. I never bought, and he never backed away, by the way, from slamming the veterans. He never backed away from slamming Chris Kyle, the great American sniper. He never backed away, from the comments he made about police. Saying essentially, that they're the worst of the worst, and even gays. Remember, he was I mean, there's just this is just a despicable, disgusting human being. And that's not even this new allegation. This new allegation is so damning, but it doesn't surprise me, Sandra. And that's the sad thing, because this guy, his character, if you listen to this woman's story, and it's really compelling. She was very compelling. I was watching her. She's a Democrat. She's a progressive, in fact. And she said, I really believe in him politically. I believe in who he is. And I like his politics, but I do not believe in the person. The person is a horrible, disgusting person, essentially. And that's why I'm coming forward. But she said, I was torn because, she was a big Democrat who wanted to see somebody with Graham Platner's policies advance. But she said, I felt like I could remain silent no more. So we can't say, she's politically motivated, because she was praising his policies. But it's really frightening, Sandra. And you bring up a good point. It's like you just you lose so much faith. I lost a lot of faith. Not that I had that much, but I lost a lot of faith in the, Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, the fact that they stood by this guy up until just a few moments ago, and he's still in the race right now. He has to voluntarily leave. That speaks volumes, not just about his character, but it speaks volumes about their character. Any party that would say, I'm going to allow this guy with all the baggage he had up until the new news today, they were willing to forgive and forget, because at that point he was up in the polls, and they were willing to win, even if someone, even if the worst of the worst was in the race. They didn't care. It was a warm body that could get them votes, and that's literally all they cared about. And that says so much more about their character, maybe even more than Graham Platner's lousy character. Sandra, thank you so much for the sweet words. Really appreciate it. And guys, I want to play this clip. This is Jenny Rassicot. This is the woman I just told you about with these new allegations. The story came forward in Politico today, and she just did this interview with CNN describing what she says happened in 2021. Graham Platner says the allegations are false. She says the allegations are correct, and she remembers it vividly because it was so horrific. Here she is in her own words.
And we should note, this is 2021 we're talking about. It's only 5 years ago. Tell me about that. When was it?
It was at the end of 2021. I remember it being shortly after I moved back into my winter home, because that is where it happened. And it was a night where him and I were texting back and forth, and he had taken something that I said as an invitation. And that's not how I meant it, and I quickly clarified. And he sent a message back indicating that he would come over, and I said, no, don't come over. Like, I'm not in the mood, don't come over. And I was more stern with that message. And then I didn't hear back from him. So I thought that meant he got the message or gave up on it or whatnot. And so, like half an hour later, I heard a noise outside my door, and then he came in. He just came into my house. It was unlocked. I live in an area where you don't usually have to lock your doors. I do now. So he came in, and I realized, okay, he didn't listen. He's in my home. And I was laying on the couch. It was probably pretty late at night, and I was already ready for bed. I just wasn't in bed. And so he had kind of like jumped on top of me and indicated that he had intentions that were sexual in nature. And I remember just at first being like, hey, I'm not into this. Like, I'm not in the mood. Like, don't, whatever. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I feel like I've said this enough times. Like, he's not listening to me, or he's not hearing me. And I looked at him, and I remember this very specific look in his eyes. And I could smell alcohol, and I was like, this is different. He is heavily intoxicated. Like, and that blank stare was kind of like a photographic memory that I still have of that night. And his that was me recognizing what the situation was. And this wasn't just like, oh, hey, somebody showed up and I'm going to tell him to go home. Like, he was heavily intoxicated, had intentions with me, and wasn't listening when I said no. And
you were saying no, don't, over and over. I
remember, obviously I've had to recall a lot of this. This is something that I tried for many years to forget. And so small details, might get past me. But yes, I remember very specifically saying, I'm not into this. In my message previously, I told him I had an old back injury, and I remember saying, like, I'm not in this. I've had a long day. My back hurts. Like I was in that kind of mood, like the leave me alone mood. And there was a little bit of like scuffle, like altercation. The house that I live in has like this antique sewing kit that I kept beside the couch, and that got knocked over. He like backed into it, or something was maybe pushed into it by me, or something happened in that moment, and that thing got spilled. And
do you remember pushing him away?
I remember potentially pushing away with my legs, and then as he backed into it, it spilt, and all of the sewing needles and tape and yarn and everything went everywhere. Everything had fallen onto the floor, and in that moment, I evaluated my safety. Like, a drunk person who's blackout drunk is in my home, has these intentions with me, has already caused this amount of destruction, and not listening to me. And so I basically felt safest just complying.
Wow. Very powerful. I didn't want him to come. He came into the house. He was heavily intoxicated. And then you heard the other part where she says, I told him no. I don't want you here. That was pretty powerful stuff. I want to play also, this is cut 28. Here's a little bit more on what she says about what happened to her and how it's made her feel.
When the New York Times story came out, you were in it, but you didn't go as far in that story as you are today.
Yeah.
Why not?
I didn't want to. I didn't want to have to violate this huge level of privacy to my own life to be able to infer that this person is not honest and trustworthy. I felt really protective of my own privacy throughout this whole process. And it got to a point where my privacy was no longer going to happen. And that was when I kind of just made the decision that, like, I'm going to say my piece and get it out there. I had tried to give the impression that something, worse happened. And that's when I was like, I refused to comment further.
You definitely alluded.
And then she said she felt the New York Times minimized her story and said, that's why I am coming forward, and also with my name, because she was not named in that New York Times story. She said they made it sound like, it's just sort of something small. And she said, no. I need to explain what really happened. He was drunk. He basically broke into my home. And she says that he raped her, that she repeatedly said, no, it was clear. And then she also said one thing I was listening to earlier, and this to me was really damning. She said the next day he said to her, tried to be kind of kissy with her, right? And she said, get out of here. Are you kidding me? Get out of my house. What you just did to me last night. And he was like, whoa. Like he couldn't even remember that he was so stone cold drunk. He didn't remember. And she said she told him that he forced himself on her and she never wants to see him again. And she said he just got dressed, walked out, didn't seem too concerned. And that was basically the end of their relationship ever. So she said that also says a lot about him. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, well. 1-800-848-9222. And we'll take your calls when we come back. It is a damning night for Graham Platner.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The GLP-1 pill you've been waiting for is now on Ro. Yep, it's finally here. With the same clinically proven ingredient. Now in a pill. And now on Ro. It's the first FDA-approved GLP-1 pill for weight loss. At the lowest price available. That's one daily GLP-1 pill for big results. Now on Ro. Go to ro.co/listen to see if you qualify. RX only. Go to ro.co/safety for serious side effects and boxed warning associated with GLP-1s.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And let's continue with your calls, guys. Graham Platner on ice. And I say it says a lot about the Democratic Party that they have been turning a blind eye to this guy for so long. And now in the last few hours, we've heard from Schumer. We've heard from Ro Khanna putting out statements saying, we suggest he withdraw. He still has not. He just says he's reflecting on his future. Anybody else, I would say that means that they're pulling out of the race. Maybe he's going to say, I'll pull out of the race. And maybe somehow the Democratic committee will do a nice little favor for me. Who knows? Or maybe this guy is just so arrogant, as his former girlfriend just described, and so brazen, as his former girlfriend just described, that maybe he's not going anywhere. I don't know. He seems like he's a nut. Let's go to Charles in Woodbridge, New Jersey, line 2. Charles, your thoughts?
Well, I was telling the call screener that I'm a Desert Shield, Desert Storm veteran.
Oh, thank you.
And years ago, when Timothy McVeigh, when he bombed that Morrow building, he gave a lot of us, that came back from, Desert Storm, he made us all look bad. And this is what this Graham Platner is doing to all these veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. He's really hurting them. He's hurting the Democratic Party too, because if they're putting themselves in line with him, that's an awful thing. All these things that are allegedly, he's accused of doing.
No, you know what? That's an interesting point, Charles. And he's also bashing fellow veterans. He's blaming also a lot of his actions on PTSD. I mean, obviously PTSD is real and it's a serious thing, but there are a lot of people with PTSD that aren't accused of rape.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?